Come, journey with me to explore new worlds and endless possibilities. Hi guys, it's me, Lady Sean, welcoming you back here for another episode of Cover to Cover Chronicles. If you are an avid reader, a lover of books, just interested in seeing what new authors are out there and what titles are out there, then you have come to the right spot. Click that subscription button and that notification bell so that you'll be notified of my upcoming videos. And welcome once again to Cover Chronicles. In this episode of Cover to Cover Chronicles, I will be reviewing book 1 in the Torpedo Ink Series, which is Judgement Road by Christine Feehan. And let me tell you, this book was awesome. I could not put it down. And I will honestly tell you that I literally finished this book in one day. I kid you not. It was that good and I could not put it down. So this book takes place right outside of Sea Haven in a town called Casper. And if you are an avid reader of Christine Feehan, as I am, then you will recognize Sea Haven from one of her earlier series. And in this book, we meet Caesar and Blythe, who you will also recognize their story from one of her earlier books. When this story opens, we meet Reaper, who is an enforcer for the Torpedo Ink Motorcycle Club, and we find that he is returning back to the club from a mission where they have been hired to rescue another motorcycle group's president's wife and child, who are being threatened by a new group on the scene, which is calling themselves Ghosts. When he returns, we find that he is injured from his mission, but then he has to deal with Anya Rafferty. Anya is a new bartender for the Torpedo Ink Biker Bar, and we find a really dynamic relationship begins to develop between her and Reaper. Reaper, who has been trained to be an emotionless assassin, we find that he is not able to control himself when it comes to Anya, and because of this, he's afraid, and so he asks their president, Caesar, if he will fire Anya, but he won't tell them why. And so because of this, she ends up staying, and we begin to see that he finally decides to give in to what he is feeling for Anya and to try to develop a relationship with her. We also find with Reaper's backstory that he, along with the other members of the Torpedo Ink group, that they were trained as children to be assassins in Russia at what appeared to be a normal school, but they were actually being tortured and abused by both men and women while they were there in order to develop them into what was hoped to be the perfect assassins. In their teenage years, they banded together and escaped and came to the U.S. and decided to set up their own motorcycle group. Within the story, we find that this new group, the Ghosts, have come up with this plan where they are trying to take over the territory of other well-known motorcycle groups in the area. And they are doing this by finding members of these groups who are into gambling and having them rack up these enormous debts that they cannot pay. And so what they have them do is to pay them with information on members of the groups, especially the presidents, and their relationships with their wives. And so what they do is they are sending out people to kidnap the wives of these motorcycle groups, and then they are using that to get these groups to do their bidding. And as the story progresses, we find out that Anya will be able to play a part in hopefully bringing down this outside group. And we also find that with Anya's backstory, we find that she has grown up pretty much as an orphan. Her mom died from a drug overdose when she was younger, and that they basically lived in shelters her entire life until she decided one day that she wanted to be this top amazing bartender. And so she put herself through bartending school, and she has worked herself up through all these different bars, and she finds herself here in Casper working for Torpedo Ink. But we also find that she has a set plan for her life, and she's not quite sure how Reaper is going to fit into that. We also find in this story that Reaper is dealing with a lot of emotional and psychological trauma from his upbringing within the school in Russia, and that he has to find some type of way to deal with this in order to be with Anya, and that because of his training, he is afraid that he might accidentally kill her because of the trauma that he is going through. I will tell you now, there may be a couple of trigger warnings for some people in this story, especially when it talks about the levels and the types of abuse that happened to them when they were in Russia, and especially the fact that this happened to children, because he was very young when his parents were killed, and he was taken to this school along with his brother. And we also find that there were a lot of other children there, and that there were a lot of things done to them in order to turn them into the perfect assassins they are, and that there was no limit placed on whether or not they were male or female if they were chosen and sent to this particular school. And we also find out that the abusers as well were both male and female. This book had 424 pages, and if you haven't guessed already, I will definitely be giving this story a 5 out of 5, especially considering that I devoured this book within a day and that I was unable to put it down. I love the story. I love the character development between Reaper and Anya, and I loved how they were able to fight for their relationship despite the many challenges that occurred, especially in dealing with Reaper's trauma. And I liked that he was actually eventually able to admit to Anya the things that were done to him. And we know a lot of times that men are portrayed as not being able to talk about their feelings or to discuss things that happen to them, especially when you first hear the description of Reaper's character. You find that he's able to turn off his emotions a lot, and that that's part of his training, to not show any emotion. And the way that he is able to fight that in order to show Anya how he really feels, I really like that part of the story. I also like the way that the members of Torpedo Ink banded together, which is kind of funny because all of them had the same upbringing. They went through the same abuse. So you can kind of imagine what happens when somebody else who doesn't know about feelings tries to help somebody else with their feelings. It can lead to some pretty hilarious things going on within this book. I also like the way that Anya, even though she's been through a lot, she's able to look into the heart of Reaper and to find the man inside of him, that he's not as bad as what he seemed. And I will tell you now that Christine Feehan is pretty much one of the only authors that is actually able to bring me to tears with some of the scenes in her book, which actually happened to me as I read this book, which was part of the reason why I could not put it down, because I had to find out how this story ended. So I would advise you guys, if this sounds like a book you'd be interested in, to definitely pick it up, add it to your collection. As always, you can download this story from Amazon, have it delivered straight to your door, or you can download it to your Kindle device or other reading device of your choice. As always, remember to subscribe, comment, share. Click the notification bell so that you'll be notified of my upcoming videos. And remember to also, don't forget that we have the contest going on, where if we can get this channel to 50 subscribers, that I will be doing a giveaway of a Amazon gift card and also a copy of any book in my collection that I have reviewed, or any upcoming book that I might be reviewing that I've already announced. You just have to let me know and I will give you a complimentary copy of that book. So, the next book that I will be reviewing is book 2 in the Torpedo Ink series, which is Judgement Road. So I will see you guys back here for another episode of Cover to Cover Chronicles. See you soon. Bye-bye.